Family sedans, you gotta love them. At least growing up, my generation did. Literally, in suburbia, every driveway, a full-size family sedan.
Are you done reminiscing about the olden days? You know, back in your day, you know, family sedans, you know, blah, blah, blah. Well, today, family sedans just ain't what they used to be in terms of sales. Everyone, well, maybe not everyone, but most of the buying public are buying crossovers. Does that mean family sedans suck?
The market is declined, but these cars don't suck. As a matter of fact, at the end of 2018, about 90,000 of these particular models had been sold.
Well, clearly, Hyundai and Honda still feel that way because today we've gathered two of their entrants into the still competitive mid-size sedan market. Brand new for 2020 is the Hyundai Sonata. As you can see, it is considerably different than its predecessor, and you know, judging by the face, I'm not sure that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it sure is distinctive.
In this corner, the 2020 Honda Accord. This is the Touring Edition with a 1.5 liter engine. This is the 10th generation of Accord. This one came out in 2018. Sonata, 8th generation. So these cars have history.
And they're both relatively well equipped. The Sonata we have is the Ultimate, and it's pushing about $38,500. The Accord,
$37,450.
Let's say before you start rambling on about the good old days, we hop in and figure out if mid-size sedans are still legit alternatives to a crossover.
Sounds good. Let's go for a drive. But before I do, let me tell you, Nick, that I was at the launch of the first generation Accord in Canada in November 1978.
Wow. Wow. Okay, Boomer, let's go for a drive. Well, old dude, where do you find ourselves?
I'm behind the wheel of a Honda Accord Touring with the 1.5 liter engine. How about yourself?
I am behind the wheel of the new for 2020 Hyundai Sonata Ultimate. It's got a 1.6 liter turbo 4 under the hood. However, that is not the base engine. The base engine is a normally aspirated 2.5.
Well, I've got the base engine, which is a 1.5 liter turbo 4-cylinder.
Well, it seems like you have a power advantage over me. Mine's good for about 180 horsepower. It is the top dog engine. However, next year, Hyundai is adding a turbocharged 2.5 liter 4-cylinder. So for now, the best you can do in the Sonata is the 1.6 turbo.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, isn't it? But the horsepower difference between the two is, well, I won't say negligible, but not all that different.
It's interesting that Hyundai chose to do that, at least initially. You would think the 1.6 liter would be the base engine.
The optional engine in the Honda is a 2 liter turbo 4, but it puts out 252 horsepower. That's a significant difference. And with that, you get the 10-speed automatic. With the 1.6, it's a continuously variable transmission. But you know what? As I said, these are family sedans. Your expectations are lower than if these were sports sedans, aren't they?
Well, personally, I find Honda's CVT is actually one of the better CVTs out there. It's pretty smooth. It doesn't really make the 4-cylinder too motorboaty under full throttle. It's definitely one of the smoother CVTs out there.
No, this is a very smooth powertrain. 4-cylinder engines are 4-cylinder engines for the most part, but I will give Honda credit. It's a smooth driving unit.
I do find the Honda is maybe a bit more responsive. I also find the Honda does handle a bit better.
You're not going to be herring around corners at outrageous speeds. Dynamically, both these cars are fairly mild, but you know what? They do an excellent job at being ordinary. I got no complaints with the ride or the handling or the the response in the case of the Honda from the 1.5 liter. And you know what? When I drove the Sonata, I really didn't have much of an issue there either.
If all you want to do is get from point A to B and have the car fade into the background. Both of these are great options for that. However, at speed on the highway, I do find the Accord is a bit better composed. You do get a bit more road noise in the Accord. However, in the Sonata, I did notice some more wind noise on the highway when you're cruising at about 110, 120 kilometers an hour.
I think in the case of the Honda, it's more tire noise than anything. And really, it depends on the surface you're driving on.
But if you can get past those quirks, then both of these mid-size sedans are very comfortable otherwise, and very composed too.
I mean, Honda's been building the Accord for more than 40 years. Hyundai's been building the Sonata, well, kind of lost track there, but I think for probably about 35.
Great value though, especially in the Sonata. Like the tech you get for 2020 is just, it's pretty crazy actually.
These are fully contented vehicles. Good infotainment setup. I find the graphics and stuff in the Sonata a little better, a little crisper, not as busy as in the Accord.
Hyundai does a great job in making some of the most easy to use infotainment systems out there, and the Sonata is no exception. For 2020, it does get a wider touchscreen. It's about 10.1 inches, I believe, or 10.2. I find they're both pretty easy to use, so there's no learning curve with that. However, the Sonata does pack more tech for the price.
Got some cool features that the Honda doesn't have. Some of it is a bit techy. The one tech feature, the one safety feature that I think is really cool is a blind spot camera.
The blind view monitor, as it's called. And best of all, it works in conjunction with a traditional blind spot monitor. So it isn't a case of one or the other, unlike Honda's old lane watch system. Unlike lane watch, you get the camera on both sides, and it basically displays an image of the corresponding turn signal in your instrument cluster. It's really cool. Speaking of that instrument cluster, it's kind of rare in the mid-size sedan segment that you get a fully digital instrument cluster, but that's what you get in the Sonata, and you do have some cool graphics when you flip between the drive modes, but again, that's not really important to the overall experience, but it's nice little touches here and there that you get.
I mean, the one thing about the Accord is that it's roomy. Not that the Sonata isn't. The Sonata is very roomy up front.
The Accord is a lot roomier than the Sonata in the back seat and in the truck.
I mean, the Accord, it trades a little bit of front seat room, headroom and legroom, for a lot more headroom and legroom, especially legroom in the back seat. I mean, I can comfortably sit behind myself in the Accord. Not so much in the Sonata. It's just a tighter fit.
I find the Sonata's cabin feels airier, especially with the panoramic sunroof. But on the flip side, I think the Accord's cabin is a bit better put together. Like I kind of prefer the material quality in the Accord more so than the Sonata. The plastics, the switchgear feels better too. That being said, you do get some more tech in the Sonata. Among other things, you do get a 360-degree camera system, which is incredibly useful whenever you're trying to speed into tight spaces. You also get what Hyundai calls Smart Park. Basically, if you hop out of the car, you can use the key fob to enable the Sonata to park itself. Fortunately, it only goes in a straight line. I just don't really see how useful it'll be beyond showing it off to your neighbors.
It's a parlor trick. I don't see much use for it, but hey, it's offered. So good on Hyundai for throwing that feature in. Overall, these cars are very close. I mean, power output, engine output, the whole bit, the features, the size, everything. It's a matter of little details. We talked about this earlier with the the primary difference is these are family sedans. So you have to look beyond the content and features, which are fairly equal, and look at the features that make them a good family sedan. And this is where the Accord just pips the Sonata, I think.
But plain and simply, you do get more bells and whistles in the Sonata than you do in the Accord. But as a family sedan, what matters is stuff like rear seat legroom, rear seat headroom, trunk space. And for that, I'm kind of with you on that. The Accord just barely edges out the Sonata.
Hyundai missed one opportunity with the new Sonata when they built this one, and that they did not offer all-wheel drive. They seem to think that it isn't needed. However, with the deterioration of family sedan sales in favor of crossovers, it would have been a nice feature to have. And more to the point, the Kia Optima, now the K5, it's been renamed, the new model for 2021 is being offered with all-wheel drive. And these are sister cars. So between the fact that there is not an upgraded engine with a significant horsepower increase, and there is no all-wheel drive model, I think Hyundai missed the boat. Looking strictly as a family vehicle, I think the Accord is just that much better. Nick, keeping in mind that these are family sedans, narrowing that criteria to what is the best family sedan, what do you think?
It depends on where your priorities lie. If you want a roomy and comfortable enough family sedan, the Sonata is a great pick. Plus, it sweetens the deal with some really cool bells and whistles, like the Smart Park, the digital instrument cluster, and Hyundai's really cool blind view monitor system. Unfortunately, it's not really roomy in the back, is it?
For full-figured, full-sized, tall people, it's a bit tight. It really comes down to dimensions. The Accord doesn't quite have the front seat headroom and legroom of the Sonata, but it's very close. However, there is a lot more legroom in the back seat. In addition, the Accord is less expensive, it is more fuel efficient, it has larger trunk capacity. All these things add up to a really well thought out family sedan. And hats off to Hyundai. I mean, the Sonata is a better looking rig.
It's a very distinctive looking car that just doesn't blend in. Plus, you can get it in yellow. Can you get the Accord in yellow?
Are you kidding? No. Sonata is a stunning car, I think. You're right, great tech, but push comes to shove, the better family sedan is the Honda Accord. 10 generations in, and still the champ.
Still the king of at least this midsize sedan castle. For Driving.ca, I'm Nick Trajanis.
For Driving.ca, I'm Brian Harper.
And for more sedan reviews and news, check us out at Driving.ca or on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.